Three, two, one. Broadcasting tape delayed from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where the NFL draft is about to occur, baby. Sports Economy Show is on. I'm Bill, and this is JP, and we're here to pump you up. Today's show, JP, is about Roger Goodell, and he's a genius. The majority of people like to run him down, don't
they? Right.
Yes,
majority
right.
of people like to dog him out, man.
That's
no matter
right.
what he does, he can't do anything right.
But he is a genius. So I just want to bring this up. I'm playing hurt today. I sprained my ankle, got turf toe, my elbow hurts. But for you folks out there, we're going to make this happen.
Making the sacrifices.
That's right. That's right.
The one day get the big bucks.
That's right. So what we want to talk about, at the end of the show, stay tuned because we're going to talk about who was the best NFL commissioner started from the 60s to the 80s to Roger Goodell. Anyway, so Roger Goodell became commissioner in 2006, I believe. We looked this up. Anyway, we got to keep this short because we talked today about this topic probably for 45 minutes and we just kept going. So I want to start with when Roger Goodell took over, the NFL network was about a year and a half old.
Yeah.
That's what we discovered today. Mm-hmm. He took the NFL network and made it a masterpiece. Would you agree?
Yeah, I definitely, it started off slow. I remember when the NFL network first started, it was, people were just excited to have the network. Yeah. But it was kind of basic. But after a few years, it was off and running. And it was actually, as far as the NFL goes, it was on par with ESPN's coverage.
Yeah. Sorry about that. I didn't have my screen full screen. Yeah. Dang. That's okay. It's YouTube. We're on YouTube, baby.
We're all right.
Mm. Like I say, folks, I'm playing hurt. I'm struggling a little bit. Give me a break. So anyway, the NFL network concept was already going. Roger Goodell took over and made it a masterpiece. Now, today we were discussing the NFL Red Zone. You said the Red Zone started with DirecTV.
It did. So when DirecTV had, they had the Sunday ticket. Anyone who had the Sunday ticket also had the option to have the Red Zone channel, right? Yeah. And the Red Zone channel was hosted by Andrew Siciliano, who, was really good. He was really, really good. I mean, I'm going to say everybody knows the Red Zone for Scott Hansen, but Andrew Siciliano was really good in that position, and he did it for a number of years. So what ended up happening was the NFL decided to have their own Red Zone, and it was it was kind of, Scott Hansen was doing stuff for the NFL Network. So then they basically did the exact same thing that Andrew Siciliano was doing. And what they did was for anyone who, because you could only get the Red Zone channel for years with DirecTV and having the Sunday ticket.
They had exclusive rights to the NFL package.
So the NFL came up with their own Red Zone channel, and that was the answer for anyone who did not have the Sunday ticket. Like if you had, if you had Fios, or if you had, AT&T cable or Cox cable, whatever cable you had, if you did not have the DirecTV, you never saw the Red Zone channel. So then they created a Red Zone channel, and then that channel was available for everyone outside of DirecTV.
Yeah.
And then eventually it became the Red Zone channel, So, and then of course DirecTV lost their Sunday ticket.
We'll get into that in just a second. Roger Goodell is continuing to make money for the NFL. Okay, that's the whole genius behind Roger Goodell.
Mm-hmm.
So now we're going to talk about the NFL draft. NFL draft was interesting, right? I mean, you had your
Yeah.
hardcore fans, but it was at Madison Square Garden in like some side convention hall. It wasn't
Mm-hmm.
in the main portion of Madison Square
Yeah.
Garden up until I guess 2014 is what I saw because they eventually got too big, and then you had Jerry Jones in the War Room. You remember when that started?
Yeah.
Oh man, that was a big deal. Still is a big deal because
Yeah.
Jerry is as big a showman as you'll ever meet. He
Yeah.
is.
Yes. Yeah.
So Roger Goodell, not missing a thing, said, we can make the NFL draft a spectacle show, right? So
Yeah.
he moves it to a Radio City Music Hall in New York City. And then it becomes from just an interesting thing to it's on Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday, rolling right along.
Yeah.
So
I mean, look, the beginning of the NFL draft was not spectacular back in the day, right?
Yeah.
I remember as a child, I mean, like my childhood. The reason why I'm a Steelers fan is because the Steelers of the '70s. They had a lot of
Yeah.
Hall of Famers. Almost all of them, tell the story of how they were drafted, and they didn't even know they were drafted. They got a
They just
phone
got a
call.
phone call.
Yeah, after the fact,
Yeah.
right? Because the owners, just met in a room and general manager, and they just drafted. It was nothing on TV. Then ESPN decided to start televising.
It's like fantasy football in the 1980s.
All right, I remember in the '80s, ESPN was televising it, and it
Yeah.
became a bigger thing. Mel Kiper became a thing,
Yeah.
and the draft was starting to explode. And it's all, I would say, since the '90s, it was relatively popular, but
Yeah.
now it is on another level.
Yeah.
It is like they talk about the draft well before the draft. They talk about, I mean, the actual draft is just major now, and then you know they've also made it. They travel with the draft.
It's a traveling circus.
You're right. They
Yeah.
go to different cities now. It's going to be
Yeah.
in Pittsburgh this year,
Yeah.
and I'm going to tell you right now, in the city of Pittsburgh, it's a big deal. It's a big deal, and the fans show up. Hundreds of thousands of fans show up.
It's fans for every team show up, and
Yeah.
they're there for 3 days.
Right, and they pile out there, and it's like having Coachella out in a dance for a football draft. It is huge.
It's like Woodstock in 1969.
Right. It is major, and you have to. I mean, look. Will the draft be popular? Yes, without Roger Goodell, but I think his hand has elevated it to a point where it is just out of control.
Yes. I mean, I would say the draft is as popular as most sporting events. Like outside, not the Super Bowl, but the draft is probably as popular as the World Series.
Listen,
would you agree with that?
Ratings are for the draft on that Thursday night. I don't know what the ratings are, but I would bet you that the ratings for the draft are higher than a playoff game for the NBA.
Yeah. Like the conference final game 6.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about playoffs.
Yeah.
In the draft. And the draft, you're talking about the majority of these guys we won't even know in 5 years.
Yeah.
But because it's the NFL draft, it is huge. And I would believe that those ratings are higher than you would get for an NBA game that's in the playoffs. Or even Major League Baseball in the playoffs. So it's the NFL is always the elephant in the room. And I think it's gone to a point with Roger Goodell where it is just skyrocketed.
Yeah. And then the next thing, Roger Goodell took the bid for the NFL ticket and moved it to YouTube, Google.
Yeah.
And that eliminated DirecTV.
Pretty much.
Pretty much.
I mean, look, DirecTV still exists.
Yeah.
They have now expanded to, you can have your regular service with the satellite dish, but you also can have, it's like an app. You can have an app, and
Yeah.
you can have a mobile
It's a
service.
streaming service.
Right. You can have a mobile service, and you can watch DirecTV, which for years they did not. They did have, but it was not like it is now. So I mean, DirecTV has come a long way, but the fact is, they don't have the Sunday ticket, and the amount of subscribers for DirecTV is going downhill, and it is starting to become obsolete. If you compare it to anyone, all the other cable providers, they have no advantage. They're probably lower, and it's just because the NFL left DirecTV is not when they had DirecTV, when they were with DirecTV, DirecTV always had the upper hand.
Yeah.
And I think that is, look, you and I were talking about this. When you think about the time period in which Roger Goodell took over, the internet was still less than a decade old, right?
The internet, as most people knew it, was probably about 6 or 7 years old. And then the iPhone showed up.
Look, the internet has been around,
well, okay.
Yeah, CompuServe in the 80s and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But when it went mainstream, where everybody that had a personal computer in their homes,
yeah,
right? And then, as you mentioned, once the iPhone became a thing,
yep,
it just took off, right? And when you consider, since when Roger Goodell, the time in which Roger Goodell has taken over, the amount of things that have changed and have now become irrelevant since then, and the one thing that continues to become more popular every single year is the NFL.
The NFL, yeah. And
the
Google.
Other sports, right. The NFL. Yeah, when you look at the other sports, all of the other major sports, you can access them like never before. All the sports. If you want to see a game that night, you could see it somewhere, right?
Yeah.
And yet, their ratings are dropping. They're not as popular. The games may be just as good, but it's not like the NFL. The NFL demand is just incredible. Just incredible.
Yeah. Well, Google, when the contract was coming due for the NFL package, Google came up and just said, "We'll give you whatever you want."
Yeah.
And just took it. So, because they knew this was going to put YouTube TV on the map. It wasn't going to be just another streaming service. It has the NFL ticket and the red zone, which people love the red zone.
I mean, look, if you think about it, it goes all the way back to, even before Roger Goodell. When Fox Network came out, they were just, they showed a few shows at night. They had a few hits with Married with Children, and, but they were struggling. And occasionally, they had shows like Martin and Living Single. Those shows did well. Yeah. But then I think it was 1994, they got
I think it was earlier than that. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, it was in the early 90s.
Yeah.
Right. They got the NFL package. They stole it from CBS
because CBS didn't want to bid.
That's right. Well, CBS didn't want to bid what?
Yeah.
They thought the bid that they were going to get, that they had, was going to be good enough, and they had the highest ratings.
Yeah.
By far, over NBC, who had the AFC contract, and then Fox comes in there and scoops it up from them. And what what has happened? Fox still is around. They still
Yeah.
are a network. They are one of the four, where it used to
Yeah.
be one of the three, like when we were children.
Yeah.
And then what did CBS end up doing? Immediately got
They
the
realized
NFL
their
back.
mistake.
They got the NFL back and outbid
Yeah.
NBC, and then NBC was,
Struggling for many years till they
right.
come up with Sunday Night Football.
That's right. So
Now we're going to enter ESPN. Roger Goodell's working the deal with ESPN. You can't turn on ESPN for a full day any time of the year without hearing football talk. You just can't do
any show. It doesn't matter what day it is. It could be the middle of June.
Yeah, middle of June.
Around the country, it is average temperatures 90 degrees.
Yeah.
They're talking about the damn NFL like it is coming around in a week.
I turn on the radio every so often, just to see what they're talking about. And it's like late February or something or other. And they're talking about the Arizona Cardinals offensive line or Lamar Jackson's relationship with his offensive coordinator. Who cares? Well, that's what they're talking about.
Well, here's what they're actually saying at ESPN. We may go, who cares? But we're also interested in other sports, right? But a majority of the country, the way ESPN feels, people will care more about some scenario that we bring up that we're basically pulling out of our ass just to have a conversation.
Yeah.
Than a regular season game in the MLB. Regular season lineup in MLB that night. They will rather talk about should Jalen Hurts, who's now been in 2 Super Bowls and won one, is he the right quarterback for the Eagles?
Yeah, I know.
As if he is a bum. As if he has never won before. As if they have never been successful with Jalen Hurts as the quarterback.
Uh-huh.
So they would rather pull that topic out and have more interest from fans. So that just proves that the NFL has had ESPN in its pocket.
Yeah. And now Disney, ABC, ESPN has purchased the NFL network. So literally, that's really all they talk about now because ESPN has to drive people to the NFL network.
And look, let me just say this. I do think that ESPN has basically been the driving force for the NFL as far as keeping it relevant. Yeah. But at the same time, it's also kept ESPN relevant. Yeah. The NFL is doing the job for ESPN. Uh-huh. That is why they basically are looking at it like our bread is buttered with the NFL and they're riding with it.
Yeah. The NFL would be doing just fine without ESPN. ESPN might be struggling a little bit.
Yeah. But the fact that they work together helps both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to discuss the last topic here. The 3 commissioners, starting with Pete Rozelle, who was there when the merger happened, right?
Yeah.
The AFC-NFC merger. Then we're going to move to Paul Tagliabue, which I guess he started like 82, 83, whatever it was.
He was in the 80s.
Then we're going to move to Roger Goodell. And who impacted society the most with what they did with the NFL?
Yeah.
So the merger in the 70s. Before that, the NFL was just the NFL. It wasn't exciting. It was, baseball was king, right?
Baseball was still king in the 70s. Yes.
Yeah. Football came on Sundays. People excited to watch it, Then the merger happened. Then things started changing. The Super Bowl started showing up, and that brought a lot of interest.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you look at the three commissioners, to me, uh, economically, there's no way you can even compare. I think it has to go to Tagliabue. I think under Tagliabue, the NFL has expanded everything that you can ask for internationally. Uh, you know,
You talking about Goodell?
yeah, Roger Goodell,
Yeah,
yes, and they have expanded internationally. They've
yeah,
expanded as far as social media. They have
hmm
expanded as far as the way the game is shown
yeah.
all over the world. Right,
Streaming services are begging
right.
for the NFL.
The availability of
Yeah,
watching all the games,
yeah,
the broadcasts themselves, the amount of
hmm
production and money that
yeah,
they're put in the broadcast, it's just high quality. They have gone far and beyond. But I still feel like the the commissioner that did the most for the NFL has to be Roselle, because what is the NFL today is
yeah,
was developed in the 70s
yeah.
with
He
Roselle.
he
The
brought the NFL from just a third tier thing up to being on par with Major League Baseball.
right. The
And then
biggest thing,
Tagliabue basically took the NFL and moved it ahead of baseball.
yes, Tagliabue took advantage of the outlets that he had in cable
Yeah,
with ESPN and all the other cable outlets. He basically expanded the way that the Super Bowl, he during his era, the Super Bowl became a massive thing in the, late 80s and 90s.
yeah,
And, it he took the NFL to another level. He expanded it
yeah,
as the sport and made it the number one sport. But I still feel like the biggest thing that ever happened to the NFL. The NFL existed before the merger,
yes.
and it was popular, but it was not anywhere near
It
what
it
Major
it was
League
a
Baseball was.
it was a popular regional sport. If you had it in New York and Green Bay and other places, Chicago, where they had a team, it was popular in the city. But the rest of the country was like, oh yeah, it's the NFL.
Yeah, but the fact that in the 70s when they
Mm-hmm.
merged,
Yeah,
that you combined all of the teams from the AFL that went to the NFL, and it just became a massive uh, success. Like you could not ask for a better transition. And a lot of people don't. People look at the Steelers and they say, "Oh, well, they play in the AFC." Well, they were one of the teams in the NFL, and they chose to go to the AFC conference when they merged.
yeah,
So it is you just don't. The structure of the NFL today was developed in the 70s. And Pete Rozelle was the one who did it. And I feel like he would be the number one commissioner to me.
all right. Well, my personal opinion is the fact that Roger Goodell has made the NFL palatable to every single person in the United States. He brought Taylor Swift in. I think it's a conspiracy, but he he took
Oh,
the
yeah.
NFL to where it was sports fans love the NFL. Now everybody loves the NFL.
Yeah.
It's must see TV. That's what I feel that he has done for this sport. So
If there's a way to make money today,
that's right.
the NFL knows how to do it.
Yeah.
They
Yep. I mean, he like I say, he literally sold the NFL to Netflix, which kicked the NBA off Christmas Day.
Yeah.
See ya.
Well, look, NBA still does games on Christmas Day,
Yeah.
but at one point the NBA was riding high on Christmas Day. It was their tradition.
Yeah.
And occasionally some of the games fell on Christmas Day, and the NFL was like, you know what? If the Sunday schedule falls on Christmas Day, we're not gonna move it. We're gonna play. And then they started doing that, and the next thing you know, they were like, you know what? I think we're just gonna go ahead and take over.
We'll do 3 games. We'll do 3 games on Wednesday. Hey,
yeah, whatever. If there's a game on, the NFL people are watching.
Yeah, that's right.
That's just the way it is. It could be 2 worst teams in the NFL.
People will watch it.
So I know there's look. I'm not gonna sit here and act like there aren't other factors, and that Roger Goodell is the Jesus of the NFL, and everything that was created was Roger Goodell's idea.
Uh-huh.
There's a number of things that help the NFL, gambling, fantasy.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of things that help the NFL be who they are, right? But a lot of the stuff has expanded to a point with Roger Goodell.
We're just using him as an example because he's the head of this right now.
Yeah, that's right.
Jerry Jones is a major factor in the popularity and sports merchandising of things.
But there are people who are 30 and under who have no idea. When we were kids, it was pretty much baseball and
baseball,
and then NFL, NBA.
Yeah,
they were way down here,
uh-huh.
And then all of a sudden, zoom. It's the opposite now. The NFL is number 1. MLB is maybe third. The NBA is probably second.
Yeah. And, baseball has done itself a serious problem by making games very hard to watch. That's another show. We got to end this because we're running up on a half an hour of talking.
Yeah.
But it's NFL talk, man.
We knew it was going to be like that before we started.
That's right. Because that's why I said we got to hold it. Anyway, so all right. So that's all I got for today. So we may do this topic later. We come up with some more stuff. So, you got anything? Any closing arguments that Pete Rozelle is the greatest commissioner?
No. I think I just feel like he is. And,
all right.
But I still give Roger Goodell his props. Paul Tagliabue was good too. It hasn't been a bad commissioner. It hasn't been one in my lifetime.
Yeah.
My 50s.
All right, folks. Remember, like and subscribe because we need $1 gazillion because we're going to host the NFL draft in our favorite city. So long, everybody.
So long, everybody.
Y'all come back now. Here.